Kirta devotees, and this is where he is now. So that's how his journey begins, and he is very, very sincere and very diligently serving the community. So let us welcome His Holiness. Of course, he's like sannyasi. His Grace Radha Gopinath Prabhu. Very ball. And next to him sitting is our His Grace Damodar Prabhu. We have a long way back in IIT Bombay when he used to started coming, and I was there already. I was doing my MTech. He was doing his BTech, or maybe I was already in ashram. I don't remember exactly.
You were studying that.
I was studying. Okay, and he used to come and chat with us in the early morning and help in kitchen and all. We started cooking there only that time, and later and he joined ashram after some time. 2005 he joined. 2005 he joined. I joined around 1999. He joined 2005. He was already working as a software engineer, quite progressive, but he thought he was sharing with us today only. He thought he would go join Gopal's Garden School and teach the kids. Same, Prabhu also has a software for the kids, and use extra time to study Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and chant rounds. The software job is too much time consuming. I can't do this. I would rather, if I want to go deep, I'll go like this. So Gaurav said, why you are doing half surrender, do full surrender, join ashram. That's how he came in the picture, and he tried out and he really liked it. And now he is the professor at the, what is that, Bhagavat school? Bhaktivedanta Vidyapith in Govardhanika village. He teaches Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam in a very detailed way. From the beginning, he had a lot of attachment for Chaitanya Charitamrita that we have seen. And I was always in the kitchen. Hardly would read stuff, but they consumed their lot of energy in studying Shastra and presenting it nicely. So we have the good fortune of having the Damodar Prabhu. We also served together in the kitchen for 10 years, 10, 12 years. If I speak, it will not end. So rather, I request Damodar Prabhu to start speaking. So today's topic is what is that? Love, leave.
Art of living,
Living, loving, and leaving. Yeah. Thank you.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So I would like to first of all thank Radha Vallabh Prabhu and Hamspriya Devi they are lovingly hosting us here in San Jose. And also our host for today, Hitesh and Ankita, am I right? Yeah, the parents are also here. So, Hare Krishna. So, thank you for hosting all the devotees at your home, in your hearts. Grateful to you. We'll chant the invocation prayers. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shannivadi Pasyatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So thank you everyone for assembling this evening. It's a working day. Tomorrow is also working days. Yeah, all taken out the time to come here. So grateful to you all. I'll speak something to introduce the topic, and then Radha Gopinath Prabhu will elaborate in a wonderful, fascinating way. So, as Radha Prabhu said, we will just briefly discuss the art of living, loving, and leaving. Um, we learn from Bhagavad Gita, very famous verse, Karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadacha. So, in general, the art of living in this world, as taught by Lord Shri Krishna himself, is responsibility. Responsibility, at the same time, responsibility with detachment. So, we do what we are supposed to do, our duty, but then, and of course, whenever we do any duty, we have some expectations about the result, which is very natural. But since the result are not in our hand, therefore, while we do our duty, while we have expectation, we should also balance it with detachment. Because otherwise, to the degree uh, we have expectations about the result, and the results do not, come up to that, come up to the level of our expectation, to that degree, there will be great frustration. Now, among the students, we hear that how so many students, they commit suicide also. If you see the students, out of frustration who commit suicide, who are those who end their life? Very sad thing. But who are those who do such an act? They are not the one who fail or something, weak in studies. They are among the top three. The students who commit suicide are not the droppers, but the toppers. Because they could not be at the top. Their expectation was very high and it didn't meet. They could not be the first, could not be the first rank, probably second or third. They are the ones who commit suicide often. So because of high expectation. So yes, expectations are natural, but we should also know the reality of life, that it may not happen. It's not everything is in our hands. So therefore, but yes. Now, other side of it is what? If we say, things are not in our hand, probably, we say destiny, we can't get beyond our destiny, then people may become irresponsible. Okay, if everything is destined, then I won't act. No, that's like another extreme. Another extreme. So, therefore, we have to be responsible. We have to put our best, do our duty. But at the same time, have some kind of detachment. It's healthy for us. It's healthy for us. Chanakya Pandit says in one of his verses, Smar Nityam Anityatam. Always remember, Nityam means always remember that Anityatam, this body is temporary. Always remember this body is temporary. Everything in this world is at a temporary nature. So therefore, that should bring some detachment, bring some detachment to us, which is for our good. It's for our good. And yeah, so Lord Chaitanya also instructs Raghunath Das Goswami that Antare Nishta Bahye Kar Lok Vehvar Achirat Krishna Tomai Karibe Uddhar. So he says, Antare Nishta, within your heart, you cultivate your Krishna consciousness. Bahye Kar Lok Vehvar. However, outside, in dealing with this world, you deal as a responsible person. And Prabhupada says, like Raghunath Swami is known to be very renounced. But on the instruction of Lord Chaitanya, Prabhupada said he became a first-class businessman. He became a first-class businessman. Lord Chaitanya told him, Bhai karo lok vehvar. So, and he did that following the instruction of Lord Chaitanya. But internally, cultivate your attachment to Krishna. Internally. And Prabhupada says very beautifully in the purport, he says, this is a trick for everyone advanced in Krishna consciousness or to advance in Krishna consciousness. One can live in society like an ordinary human being. It means do all the responsibilities that everyone is doing. But at the same time, one's own business should be to satisfy Krishna and spread his glories. So therefore, the art of living in another, to put in another words, is we live in this world, but still not be worldly. Radha Gopinath was sharing with him. Krishna also says this Padma Patram Ivambhasa. The like the lotus leaf. It is there in the muddy water, but it is not touched by it. So therefore, the art of living in this world is to be in this world, but not of this world, not become worldly. So therefore, our devotee remains detached also. Internally, he cultivates internally absorption, while externally he carries out everything as normal as others people do. A devotee can be even more ambitious than others. So that is briefly the art of living. I will go to the next, the art of loving. So we'll try to make it a little bit interactive. I'd like to hear one word from you. When we say art of loving, think about it and speak one word. As per you, what is the art of loving? You can, okay, you can raise your hand and speak. Art of loving. Say, just answer in one word. Yes, Prabhu, say your name. Shyam Jagannath Prabhu. Yes, art of loving in one word. Oh, okay, good. Art of loving is forgiveness. Nice. We may commit mistakes and all that, and even forgive. Let it go. Okay, good. We'll hear yes from backside. Yes, Mataji. You can speak your name also. We'll be introduced to you also. See your name and then the word you want to describe. Okay, Hare Krishna. Yes. So, okay, I asked for one word, but fine. Okay, so art of loving is kindness, right? Being kind. So we'll take the word kindness. Thank you. That's good. Love means to be kind to the object of love. That's a very good answer. Yes, Prabhu. Vrajnath Prabhu. Yes. Oh, okay. Art of loving is to care for the object of love. We have been traveling to teach devotee care. So the love means there is a statement that I don't care how much you know till I know how much you care. So art of loving is care. Another profound answer Thank you, Rajanath Prabhu, for sharing that. Yes, Mataji? Okay. Okay. Priya, your name. Fine. Then, okay. Art of loving is unconditional. Amazing answer. Ahitukiya pratihata, unconditional. Ahituki is actually unconditional. And that this definition of bhakti, which is bhakti is all about love. So what you have said is supported by Shrimad Bhagavatam. Love is unconditional. And therefore forgiveness also follows in unconditional love, forgiveness. Thank you for that profound word, unconditional. We'll hear from, yes, Mataji? Yes. Okay, the art of love is giving. Good. I remember one statement of His Holiness Radha Swami Maharaj. He said, love is all about giving and not getting. And giving without expectation of getting. And then if we give without expectation of getting, we get beyond expectation. We actually get beyond expectation. But we should give without the expectation of getting it back. We'll be surprised to see that we get it beyond our expectation. So that's the art of love is giving. Another very profound answer. Thank you so much for sharing. Yes. Once again. Okay, Sindhu Kanya Devi. Yes. Great. The art of loving is sacrifice. Sacrifice for the object of love. And Prabhupada said that you will show your love for me by how you cooperate. If there has to be cooperation, there has to be some sacrifice or some compromise. Compromise, sacrifice, the same term. Yes, so art of love is to sacrifice. Sacrifice for the object of one's love. Amazing answer. Thank you for sharing that word. From this side, someone would like to share? Yes. Okay. Okay. I asked for one word, but now since okay, so similar. You're combining the inputs from other devotees. So okay, yes, Prabhu. Yeah. Okay, art of loving is commitment. Yeah, that's great. Art of loving is commitment. So once Shrutakirti Prabhu, who was serving Prabhupada, he said, Prabhupada, when you go to any place, all the devotees, they are in ecstasy. They shout Jai Prabhupada and they're dancing and jumping and they're floating in the air. And I don't have love for you. And Prabhupada said, do you like to serve me? And he was traveling with Prabhupada for quite some time. He said, yes, Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, yes, your commitment to service is your love. So it's not always that has to be expressed through great emotions or jumping high into the air. But yeah, commitment to service. We show our love by, how we commit to our service. Another profound answer. Abhijit Prabhu, right? Thank you for sharing. Okay, yes, one word and then, giving time. Giving time. Yeah. Yeah, the husband, there is a different language of care. I heard from Radha Gopinath Prabhu. The husband feels I will work very hard and give everything else except time. The wife needs only time. So there is a mismatch between the language of care. So yeah, so giving time, important actually. Okay, another answer. Yes, Prabhu. The art of loving is tolerance, is to tolerate. Right. Unless we tolerate, we can't even forgive. Right? Because we have to tolerate at times. Right. We have to stay together, serve together, we have to tolerate. Good. So actually, we got so much in-depth understanding about the art of loving from you all. So I will I'll add one word and then I'll narrate one pastime from Chaitanya Charitamrita. So the art of loving is sensitivity. I'm just adding a word. It's because love is so profound, it can't be just put in one word. So we got so many words from you all. I'm just adding another word, which is sensitivity. Lord Chaitanya was dancing in great ecstasy, feeling great love for Lord Krishna. Sarup Damodar Goswami was singing. And like Kirtan started in the morning, something like around 10 a.m. And usually it would end before around noon time. And Lord Chaitanya would go take bath and have prasadam with the devotees. So Sarup Damodar Goswami is singing, and one particular day, Lord Chaitanya is in great ecstasy. He's chanting and dancing. Not just noon, Dutiya Prahar means around past noon, that time pass. The Tritiya Prahar came, that means around 4 p.m. It's around 4 p.m. now. All the devotees not even taken lunch or anything. And Lord Chaitanya continues to chant and dance in great ecstasy, oblivious to the passing of the time. But the devotees felt great fatigue. Devotees felt great fatigue. Therefore, Nityanand Prabhu, he understood the fatigue of devotees. And Nityanand Prabhu, gradually, those who were, chanting in chorus and those who were playing instruments, those who were singing, Nityanand Prabhu gradually slowed down the tempo of the kirtan. He asked the devotees, "Now you stop playing mardanga, you stop playing kartal." So only one kartal, one mardanga, slow. The tempo of the kirtan slowed down. The Lord Chaitanya came to external consciousness. And then Nityanand Prabhu immediately said, "My Lord, the devotees are fatigued." "Oh, is it? Oh. Then we should go for prasad." Immediately Lord Chaitanya stopped dancing. And he was very sensitive as soon as he came to know that, my ecstasy, he was totally absorbed. But as soon as he became aware that the devotees are fatigued, they need a break, Lord Chaitanya immediately stopped the kirtan, and then the devotees, they took bath and there was a prasadam pastime. There are many such beautiful pastimes in Chaitanya Charitamrita about sensitivity, So I'll just narrate another beautiful pastime about sensitivity. How Govinda serves the Lord, who is a personal servant. Now, one of the word was commitment, as Abhijit Prabhu mentioned. Right? So Govinda is fully committed to serve the Lord. That is his love for him. It's mentioned, Sarvakala Ache Sudrida Niyam. Sudrida Niyam itself means that how he had a strong commitment to service. Prabhu Yadi Prasad Paya Karena Shayan. Lord Chaitanya would take his afternoon meal and then he would take a nap, short nap. And at that point of time, while Lord would take nap, Govinda would come and massage Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet. Because Lord Chaitanya would be dancing in ecstasy before the noon time and he would be fatigued. So therefore, Govinda would relieve Lord Chaitanya of the fatigue by massaging him. One particular day, Lord Chaitanya danced for a long time. The same day as we are talking, he danced for a long time, and then Nityanand Prabhu intervened and Lord Chaitanya stopped the dancing. Lord Chaitanya took prasadam with the devotees, and then he went and he just lie down in his room. And Govinda came to do his service. And he saw that Lord Chaitanya is lying down in such a way that the whole entrance to the door, Lord Chaitanya's room had only one door if you go to Jagannath Puri. And Lord Chaitanya lie down right in front of the door. Something like, if you see over here, this is a small room and Lord Chaitanya is lying down right over here. And the entrance to the room is from that side. So Govinda saw, and Govinda wants to come in to massage the Lord. But he cannot come in because Lord Chaitanya is lying right in front of the door, blocking all the way. So Govinda requested the Lord, my Lord, please get on one side. Lord Chaitanya said, I do not have the strength to move. Now, he is the Supreme Lord who holds, it's mentioned in his expansion, Ananta Sheshu, who hold all the universes and doesn't feel any fatigue also. But today he manifested fatigue. And he said, I'm tired, I can't move at all. Govinda said, my Lord, I want to massage you. Please move so that I can come inside and I can do my service. Lord said, you may do or you may not do, but I can't move my body now. I'm so tired. So now Govinda, he's in, now to cross over Lord Chaitanya, to step over is considered a great offense. Like you see in the Indian culture also, if you touch anything with the feet, if there is anything which is, like a book, anything which is sacred, if you touch with your feet, then you touch, it to your head, kind of seeking apology in the culture. So touch someone with the feet is considered a sign of disrespect. And you touch anything which is sacred, it's actually an offense. So what to speak of touching with the feet, one should not even cross over something which is sacred with one's foot. And what to speak of the transcendental body of the Lord? Stepping over, it's considered a great offense. So Govinda is in a great dilemma. I want to do service to him, but how do I do? This is a great offense. So therefore, he thinks for a while and he puts his outer chadar, the shawl he had. So he puts a shawl over the body of the Lord first and crosses over. He crosses over and then he would regularly massage the Lord for around 20 minutes or so. That day the Lord was extremely fatigued. He continued massaging him for around 40 minutes. And that day the prasad was delayed and everything. And Govinda would first do his service and go out and take prasad. That was his niyam. Lord Chaitanya would take prasad, he would lie down, Govinda would massage him, then he would take his lunch. That day prasad was already delayed, right? And Lord Chaitanya was extremely fatigued. But he saw that Lord Chaitanya is so tired, so therefore let me massage him more. And Lord Chaitanya went to sleep. So he continued to massage him very gently, and all the fatigue went away. When Lord Chaitanya got up after 40 minutes, he saw Govinda is still there. He said, how come you're still here? You would just massage me for 20 minutes and then you would leave. And Govinda said, I felt that today you are very fatigued, so I should give you more massage. Okay, but still, why didn't you go for your lunch? He said, my Lord, there was no way to go out. Lord said, no way to go out? But how did you come in? So Govinda to this didn't reply back. Within his mind, he thought that my duty is to serve him. And you see how, therefore, to serve him, even if I have to suffer consequences of offense, I will take that. But once the service is done, he was not able to step back because there was no service now. It was his meal. So therefore, he didn't go back. He even waited for a longer time till Lord Chaitanya get up and gives him the way. So for serving, he would, was ready to make a sacrifice. One of the, it was mentioned the sacrifice is one of the word which describes the art of loving. So he was, that was the sacrifice that he's ready to suffer for the consequences to serve. But for his own personal sake, Govinda would not step over the Lord's body. And Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says very beautifully, he says, I'll read the verse. यही सब है भक्ति शास्त्र सूक्ष्म मर्म चैतन्य निरा कृपाए जाने यही सब धर्म. He said these are very finer principles, very refined principles of bhakti. Bhakti is the science of love, actually. So these are very finer principles. Only by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya can we understand such sensitivities involved in loving reciprocation, in loving service. So therefore, how Govinda exhibits very refined sensitivity in serving Lord Chaitanya is exhibited in this particular pastime. So therefore, we discuss the art of loving and the art of leaving. We all have to leave from this world one day. So there is Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, or Chaitanya Charitamrita. We can learn all these three arts from all the scriptures: the art of living, art of loving, and also art of leaving. It's described that death is an examination and the life is preparation for it. So the art of leaving from this world is demonstrated in Srimad Bhagavatam by Parikshit Maharaj and many other personalities, including Vritrasura. The art of living is complete surrender with attachment. That's what, if you study the example of Parikshit Maharaj, where he says, Tammopayatum pratiyantu vipra ganga cha devi dhrita chittamishe dijopasrishta kuhukastakshakova dashattalam gayata vishnugatha. So he expressed that I am now a surrendered soul. I am completely surrendered. This word is used in the translation by Prabhupada. I am now completely surrendered soul with dhrita chittamishe, with his mind firmly now attached to the lotus feet of the Lord, to the association, to hearing and chanting. So surrender with attachment. This is what Srimad Bhagavatam teaches us, is the art of leaving from this world. And I would just like to recite four beautiful verses and briefly explain, which is called Vritrashur Chatushloki. The four verses which express the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam recited by Vritrasura. In fact, it's described that Garuda Puran describes which is that book called Srimad Bhagavatam. Like if you have to identify, what are the characteristics of Srimad Bhagavatam? Typical, what the Srimad Bhagavatam contains. Garuda Puran describes Yatra Adhikrityam Gayatrim, that scripture which begins with Gayatri mantra. Satyam Param Dhimahi is the first verse. Varnate Dharma Vistaraha, which expounds upon the religious principles, the two religious principles, the highest religious principle. Vritrasura Vadhopetam Srimad Bhagavatam Ishyate. So three characteristics of a book which is called Srimad Bhagavatam. It begins with Gayatri, it describes the highest dharma, and which describes the leaving of Vritrasura from this world, the departure of Vritrasura. So that's the Srimad Bhagavatam. So therefore, the Vritrasura exemplifies leaving from this world in a great way. I'll recite the four verses and very briefly explain, and then because she's Radha Gopinath Prabhu, then elaborate upon this topic. So Vritrasura, he has reached the stage of complete surrender, and he expresses his attachment and surrender in these four verses. If you want, you can open it, these four verses of Vritrasura Chatushloki. What's the verse number? 6, 11, 24 to 27. So 6th canto, 11th chapter, verse 24 to 27. So I'm reciting these 4 verses with a brief explanation on the art of living from this world. Aham hareto. You can recite along with me if you want. Aham hareto paday kamula dasanudaso bhavitasmi bhuyah manasmareta shupater gunamste ginitva karma karotu kayah. So Vritrasur says, Aham hare tav pade kamula dasanudasa bhavitasmi bhuya. Says, my Lord, when will I be again the servant of your eternal servant who finds shelter only at your lotus feet? So therefore, Vritrasur is seeking, we discussed about the complete surrender, the same as word shelter. So Vritrasur is seeking shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord. But he says, I want to be sheltered by those who have taken shelter of a lotus feet. And that position is actually even safer. That position is actually even safer. So therefore, surrendered at the lotus feet of the servants of the Supreme Lord. He expresses that. So he said, I was directly in touch with the Lord, but I committed some offense. Now I want to be the servant of the servant so that I'm in a safer position and do not commit the same offense or a mistake again. And then he expresses how his mind may always be attached to, may again become servant, their servant, so that my mind always think of your transcendental attributes. Here he expresses desire or attachment to hearing about the Lord. Manasmareta Ashupater Gunamste Ganitva Karma Karotukaya. May my words always glorify those attributes, and may my body always engage in loving service of your lotus feet. Lord says, I'm so pleased with your prayer. Ask any benediction you want. I'll give you. So what does he say? Recite slowly at a slow pace. Nanaka prishtam nachaparameshtyam na sarvabhaumam narasadhipatyam na yoga siddhera punarbhavam va samanjasatva virahaya kangshe. So Lord says, ask a benediction. I will, make you the not just the president of a country, the ruler of a planet. I'll give you yoga siddhis. You can obtain whatever you want just simply by desiring. You ask, simply ask. But he says everything, no, not this, not this, not this. Right? So I'll read the translation. He says, oh my Lord, source of all opportunities. This is a beautiful term. One devotee welcomed us to US saying, welcome to the land of opportunities. Actually, lotus feet are, the source of all opportunities, as Vritrasur says here. So he says, oh my Lord, the source of all opportunities, I do not desire to enjoy in Dhruvaloka, the heavenly planets, or the planets where Lord Brahma resides. Nor do I want to be the supreme ruler of all the earthly planets or the lower planetary systems. I do not desire to be the master of the power of the mystic yoga, nor do I want liberation if I have to give up your lotus feet. Right? So therefore, he only desires to serve the lotus feet of the Lord, expresses his attachment. And then he, not just attachment, he says, my Lord, I am longing. He expresses great longing. I'm longing to serve you again, your lotus feet, under the shelter of your devotees. And he expresses his longing. He gives 3 examples how I am longing to be with you. Text 26, we'll recite together. Ajata paksha iva mataram khaga stanyam yatavat satara shudarta priyam priyeva vyushitam vishanna manoravindakshidrikshate tvam. So, ajata paksha iva mataram khaga. So Vritrasur says, just like a baby bird is always looking when the mother bird is going to come and feed me. Ajat Paksha, he can't go out. The baby bird is hungry and he is also fearful and always, longing or waiting with great eagerness for the mother bird to come and feed him. Yeah, and of course, give a loving hug and so on. So therefore, Ajata Paksha, I'm longing like a baby bird longs for the mother bird to return. Then he feels, okay, this analogy or this example is not so great. He gives a better example. Ajata Paksha Mataram Khaga Stanyam Yatha Vassatara Shudarthaha. When a calf is hungry and distressed, the calf has got great hunger, but the calf is not always with the mother cow. So at a particular time, the calf is let loose. And if you go to Goshala, I have seen myself, if there are 100 mother cows and you lose, if they have calves, all of them, imagine all of them have calves, 100 calves, and there are 100 cows, they will run to their mother. They will not, go to any other. And within few seconds, they all will be mapped perfectly, to their mother. Another example is given in the scriptures. Our previous karmas come back to us just like the calf exactly goes to one's mother. It doesn't go here and there. So I've seen myself in Vrindavan Goshala, number of calves were let loose. They immediately, ran to their own mother and start sucking their nipples. So stanyam yatha vassataraha, the vats goes to mother cow, shudartaha. This analogy is better. Why? Because the baby bird is looking for something outside of the mother. Mother has to arrange something from outside. But here, the calf is satisfied by the mother's milk, which comes from her own body. So he's not looking for something outside of the mother. So therefore, this analogy is better. Therefore, he gives a better analogy. I am longing for you just like a calf longs for the time of milking to come, and when he'll be let loose and be able to run towards the mother, and they really run. You can't hold them at that point of time. So that's described the second analogy of longing. And the third analogy, then Vritasura feels, still there is something lacking in this analogy, this comparison. So he gives another comparison. Stanyam yatha vasta shura sudhasta priyam priyeva vishitam vishanna. So when the one's beloved is gone, is outside, or one's lover is outside and the beloved is waiting to serve with a desire to serve. When will my lover come and when will I be able to serve? So how is this analogy better? Because here the desire is to serve and not to accept the service. This is even a better analogy. And therefore, Vritrasura says, I am longing not to get something from you, but to render service to you. So then Vritrasura feels satisfied with this analogy. And in this way, in this verse, he expresses his longing to once again be reunited with the Lord, to serve him. Manoravindaksh didikshate tvam. I look up to you, O Lotus-eyed Lord. The last fourth verse we'll recite together. Mamottamo shloka janeshu sakyam samsara chakre brahmata sokarmabhi tvanmayatmatmajadargaheshva asakta chittasya nanatha bhuyat. So Vritrasura has expressed his longing to be united with the Lord and to serve him, but he feels the humility. He feels, I have asked for something which I do not deserve. So that's another important aspect of great Vaishnav quality of humility. Parikshit Maharaj also feels he's not qualified to return back to the Lord. Therefore he says, my Lord, I have asked for something which I don't deserve. I deserve to be in this world of birth, old age, disease, and death. So let me be in this world. So while I'm in this world, uh, I beg you for this benediction. He asked from the Lord. What is that? Mamuttama shlok janeshu sakhyam. May I have, I'll read the translation. Oh my Lord, my Master, I'm wandering throughout this material world, right? That I don't deserve to be with you. So while I wander in this material world, I simply seek friendship in the association of your pious and enlightened devotees. Mamuttama shlok janeshu sakhyam. Then my attachment to my body, wife, children, and home is continuing by the spell of an external energy, but I wish to be attached to them no longer. Let my mind, my consciousness, and everything I have be attached only to you. So therefore, yes, though a devotee is responsible for one's kinsmen, one's friends, relative, everything, but internally he cultivates his attachment while living to the Supreme Lord, to the association of devotees, to hearing and chanting. And ultimately then, in this way, prepare, as Vritrasura describes, uh, towards complete surrender with attachment to glorification of the Lord, to the association, and towards the Lord's glorification. Hare Krishna. So thank you very much. So I just briefly spoke something from Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita about this topic. Now I will request His Grace Radha Gopinath Prabhu to elaborate it. थोड़ा सा आगे खींच लीजिए.
ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः. I'm wondering what more to speak after a IIT has spoken. Damodar Prabhu has graduated from IIT to IITT, from Indian Institute of Technology to International Institute of Transcendental Technology. And he has really kind of squeezed and extracted the nectar from Gita, Bhagavad, and especially the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So I was thinking, what else should I speak? I'm also very grateful to meet my very, very dear God brother, Radha Vallabh Prabhu. Actually, anyone who knows him knows he's such a refined gentleman. And too soft, too sweet, to sometimes, some book distributors will go aggressive. How will he manage? And if you really want to know how sweet his heart is, then you have to taste the food that prasadam that he makes, the bhoga that he makes. I remember His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. For several years, knowing him, he's like never complaining about anything. Whatever comes, he kind of accepts. So there was a servant who never practically chanted any rounds, I'm sure. He was cooking for him for several years, in the early years. And we also somehow, I don't know, we never thought about it or even asked him. And he was. But the day Radha Vallabh Prabhu started actually cooking, I could see Maharaj relishing the prasad and eating a little more than what he used to take before. So that's him. And anyone who has not read his book, Yogi Plate, I sincerely recommend, please do read that. Amazing. His experience of several years, practically 2.5 decades of cooking, reading, understanding. The whole philosophical foundation and background has come up in that. Actually, today only I read a few pages and I was amazed. I was thinking it's some, some recipes there, so I never read actually. But today when I actually happened to get it and went through it, it's simply amazing. I wish I had got hold of this book a few years, or I had taken advantage of his association 20 years back. Probably my physique would have been much better. So of course, the bhakti process is such an amazing thing. That it really, it's not about the external renunciation. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Grihe Thako, Vane Thako, Sada Hari Bole Dako. Whether you are a householder, whether you are a renunciate, truly, in the process of bhakti is so powerful, so simple, so sweet, yet so sublime that anyone, it's like an elevator. You don't have to make the effort of climbing the stairs. You just go into the elevator, press the right button and don't monkey around. It elevates. Actually, it elevates you. And then the door opens and you realize you are elevated. I was in Ukraine and before the war, much before even pandemic. And this was like a huge building, 66 floors or something. And I got into the lift and somebody pressed the button. And I thought, this is like India, it doesn't move. And after a few seconds, it opened. The program was in the top floor, so like 66th floor or something. And I said, and he said, let's go out. I said, but we are supposed to go to the top floor because we are already there. I said, are you sure? I couldn't believe because I thought the lift never moved. But he said, yeah. Because things are different in India. You press it, you really know. And it is moving and here it just kind of opens. And I just actually couldn't believe. I couldn't believe. I had to confirm. So I went out. There was a corridor and then looked through the window. And even the big buildings were looking very small. I said, yeah, really, we have come up to the top floor. So similarly, the process of bhakti is like that. So sukham kartu bhavya, as Krishna says in the Gita, in the 9th chapter, Raja Vidya, Raja Guhya Yogo Nam. You practice the process. When you are on the ground level, even a small building looks huge and overwhelming. But when you elevate yourself, even the biggest building looks so tiny and insignificant. Similarly, when we practice the process of bhakti, apparently the same kind of difficulties, obstacles, distractions, temptations, so many, it seems so overwhelming in the beginning. But if we remain focused in the art of living, loving, and leaving, sure enough, very soon we realize that they actually, fade into insignificance. Relatively. Of course, if we, as I said, we remain in the elevator without, moving out. So it really doesn't make a difference. Many of you are seeing me as a sadhu in saffron. But thankfully, none of you can look within. But I have my very dear friend from my BSc days, 38 years back. And my dear friend Ragini, I'm meeting her after almost like 38 years now. She knows. I told her not to reveal my identity, who I was, very obvious to. Frankly, I'm the same. But you have to wear a uniform to show what your profession is. So that's why I'm so happy that I was able to meet her, mother, relative also. So very grateful for her to have come here. So I'll just share an incident. One time I was going from Mumbai to Aurangabad by train, and the coupe was empty practically. It was almost like in the evening, early evening. And I was reading the Bhagavad Gita. And there was a professor sitting opposite me. And he looked at me and said, Swamiji, can I ask you a question? I was thinking in my mind, that's the goal of life. Atato Brahma Jigyasa, Vedanta Sutra starts with questioning. So I said, yeah, please. He said, what are you reading? I said, Bhagavad Gita. And he said, what is that? And I said, what is that? When, what do you mean? The Gita, the essence of all Vedas. He said, no. I know what Gita is. But I want to ask you something. I said, yes. He said, can you tell me the essence of all Vedas in one sentence? And I was thinking, that was about 27 years in the movement I was till then. I said, since 27 years, I've been struggling to study Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti. Listen, memorize, chant. The beads have become so smooth and practically disappearing, but my heart is still the same. And this fellow, and I'm trying to understand the essence of Gita, essence of Vedas. And this fellow is asking, can you tell me in one sentence? Then he clarified. He said, the reason why I'm asking you is because I'm getting down in the next station. And it's coming in next 30 seconds. So please tell me, can you please tell me the essence of the Vedas in one sentence? So I was thinking, what can I tell him? And suddenly I remembered several years ago, His Holiness Mahavishnu Swami Maharaj, from Nasik, who's no more now. He had come to our temple. He was giving class. And he had mentioned, he said, if someone asks you, that what is the essence of the Vedas in one sentence? And he had told a sentence. And first time I realized, many times when we hear the lecture, we think we have heard, but after some time, you go back and after a few days, somebody asks you, what did you hear? Wow, what a lecture. What was it? I don't know what it was, but it was amazing. So, but I realized if during the process, if we have heard attentively, sincerely giving attention to the message, at the right time when we need it, as Krishna says in the Gita, Sarvasya chaham hridaya sannivishto mattaha smritir jnanam. He gives the remembrance at the time when you need it the most. And it was like 8 or 9 years back, Mahavishnu Maharaj had come. And I had heard it and I had appreciated that. Wow, what a message. So beautifully, so crisp and concise. And then I remembered that. And I would like to share with you, because within that is contained the art of living, loving, and living. So he said, of course, he was speaking in Hindi. He said, the essence of all the Vedas in one sentence is कृष्ण हमारे पति, उनके चरण हमारे गति, उनमें लगाओ अपनी मति, तो उनके प्रति उत्पन्न होगी रति. So the Lord is our ultimate master, pati. Pati also means husband, the master. When Lakshmi Devi, she comes from the, in her prayers, actually, the fifth canto, she comes out and she is looking for a husband. She's looking for a suitable husband. And she looks at everyone. And then she chooses Narayan. And she tells, why I have chosen you. I considered everyone. But why I chose you as my only husband, only master. She says, and then she defines the definition of pati. She says, Savai pati syad akuto bhayam swayam samantatah pati bhayaturam janam. Savai pati. I mean, he is undoubtedly the only fit husband. Savai pati syad, who? Akuto bhayam swayam, who in his heart knows nothing like fear. Absolutely fearless. Nothing in this world can create fear in him. Akuto bhayam swayam. And the second thing she says, samantatah pati bhayaturam janam. Anyone who takes his shelter becomes totally fearless. We see that in Prahlad. Imagine universal terrorist, Hiranyakashipu. Even the Devatas are literally scared to be in front of him. Such a powerful personality. And this little boy, 5-year-old, goes and tells, my dear father, you're a fool number one. You made a big mistake. You just tell him straight on the face. What guts it requires to actually do that. So, Savai pati hisya. So he said, the first statement he said, Krishna is our pati. And his lotus feet, meaning service to him. We are eternally part of Krishna. Mamayivamsho jivaloke jivabhuta sanadana. Jiver swarup hai Krishna nitya das. Gopi bhartur padkamalayor das dasanudas. Truly the only destination of life, especially the human form of life, is to develop, to attain eternal service to the lotus feet of the Lord. Because three things are eternal in this world. The Lord is eternal. Sanatanastvam purusho matome. The living entity is eternal. And the relationship with the Lord is eternal. Mamayivamsho jivaloke jivabhuta sanada. Other than these three, everything else is bhutva bhutva praliyate. It eventually is going to finish. And therefore, anyone who has taken shelter of service to the lotus feet of the Lord has ultimately achieved his destination, the ultimate destination. So Krishna is our pati and Krishna is our gati. That's the destination. And to invest our mati, the essence of all scriptural injunctions, because scriptures basically contain two kinds of statements: prescriptions and prohibitions, do's and don'ts, vidhi and nishedha. And the scriptures themselves describe smartavya satatam vishnur vismartavyo na jatuchit sarve vidhi nishedhyasyuh etayoriva kinkara. That there are only two injunctions. The essence of all do's, vidhi, is to remember the Lord always. And the essence of all don'ts is don't forget the Lord anyway, anytime. That's it. As simple as that. And all other rules and regulations are subordinate to this one principle: to remember the Lord always. Smartavya satatam Vishnu. And Krishna says in the Gita, the success of life, having lived a successful life, what is it? As I said, life is a preparation and death is the examination. And that examination can be easily cleared with flying colors if, as Krishna himself says, antakale chamameva smaran muktva kalevaram. To remember him. And naturally at the time of death, that which is most dear to you throughout your life will surface by default. And therefore, all the devotees in the Bhagavatam, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, when the Lord comes in front of them and asks them, please, my dear son, you suffered so much for me. Ask for a benediction. Anything I want to give you, because you did so much for me. I'm so grateful to you. Ask me. The only thing invariably the devotee asks, please let me remember you always. Please, wherever I am, let me get the opportunity to serve you. And please, let me always stay in a place where I get the association of your loving devotees. Other than this, they ask for nothing. The sign of love is to remember. What is the meaning of saying, I love you, but I don't remember you? Imagine, oh, I love you, darling. I love you. Oh, what nonsense love. Today is my birthday. You didn't get me a ring, not even an aluminum one. Love you. To love means to actually remember. How can we ever forget? We sometimes, I don't know here, but in India, they draw a heart and a arrow piercing and 2 drops of blood. I love so and so. If this person has pierced my heart, I can't think of anything else. That's remembrance, actually. So asking for remembrance means asking for love. To love means to serve with a desire to please. In the bhakti conception, I was thinking, but I restrained myself. Love means to serve. Love means to serve. It is service. That's true. In the bhakti conception, love is not a noun. It is a verb. Active verb. Only Prabhupada translated bhakti as devotional service. And that service with a desire, only desire to please, and naturally selfless. Naturally born out of that love is compassion for the suffering souls and trying to please, etc. So they asked for the association of such loving devotees, because in their association, you cannot but be Krishna conscious, naturally. So, therefore, investing one's consciousness to put our mati means consciousness, and that becomes very easy. Today, we have to struggle to remember Krishna even while consciously chanting. Except Krishna, we remember everything during chanting. It's amazing. Other times you are focused in whatever you are doing, but only at that time. Why? Because avratam jnanameta, there's so much of covering there. But it's described that once Narada went to the gopis in Vrindavan and he saw all the gopis sitting, like Radha Vallabh Prabhu was demonstrating today. Straight back, samam kaya shiro grivam, dharayan achalam sthiram, and sit like this posture. So try to remember. He saw the gopis. He had never seen the gopis meditating like this. The gopis are always busy 24 hours, running around and doing something practical. I don't say this is impractical. So he was shocked. He said, "What are you doing?" He said, "We are trying to get this guy out of our heart. This Kaliya. Kaliya is not Kaliya the snake. Kaliya means this black Ghanashyam. We are trying to get this person out, but he doesn't go." Ours is the other case. We try to remember, but he doesn't come, even during chanting. So, and that is very easy when you start loving him. Love thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy might. That is the essence of all religion. Truly to love God unconditionally. Ahaituki apratihata. Unconditionally and uninterrupted. And that's natural. That's a natural thing. That is why all these four are used by Kunti Devi in one verse of her prayer. Tvaime ananya vishaya matir madhupati asakrit ratim udvahata madha gangai vaugabudanvati. In this verse she says, Tvaime, at your lotus feet, that is the gati. Tvaime ananya vishaya. Ananya, anya, let it not go anywhere. Let my consciousness, matihi, let my mati move towards your lotus feet. That's the gati. Tvaime ananya vishaya matihi madhupati. Not only you are madhupati, but you are the pati. Shriyapati, yagyapati, prajapati, dhyampati, lokapati, dharapati. Patihi gatischa andhaka vrishni satvata. Shukadeva Goswami, before beginning the description of the whole Bhagavatam, offers his prayer to the Supreme Lord, saying this verse. Shriyapati, Yagyapati, Prajapati, Dhyampati, Lokapati, Dharapati, Patihi Gatihi, Andhaka Vrishni Satvatam. Satvatam means devotees. He's the Pati and he's the Gati. So, she says, Ratim Udvahata Madha. When there is love, it flows. Like what is love? It overflows of emotions. Just like a tank overflows. So similarly, her heart is overflowing. And when it overflows, the force is so strong that any obstacle that comes effortlessly is crossed over. Even big boulders or sometimes tips of, hillocks, it crosses somewhere and reaches. So let that rati, let that developing, And then he explained, Mahavishnu Swami explained, that this is the purport of the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. So Lord Brahma was revealed the essence of Bhagavatam in 4 verses by the Supreme Lord. And these 4 verses, the first 2 contain the Sambandha Gyan. That Lord is our Pati and He is our ultimate Gati. That is the Sambandha Gyan, our relationship. First is to know the relationship. The second is Prayojana Gyan. That is, wherever I see, Yo Mam Pashyati Sarvatra, Sarvam Cha Mai Pashyati, Tasyaham na pranashyami sachame na pranashyami. Krishna says in the Gita, one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost to him and he is never lost to me. How is this possible? Prabhupada gives a beautiful example. If a mother loves her child and the child has gone to the school and it's very late and the child has not yet come, she's in anxiety. And then she looks at the bag, the shoes, or the toy of the child, and she starts holding it and she's crying. She's not seeing the child, she's seeing the child's belongings. But by seeing it, she remembers the child. Prabhupada said, so I have kept my spectacles. So you see, oh, this is Swamiji's spectacles. So you remember me. So similarly, a devotee, sthavara jangama dekhe, na dekhe tar murti, sarvatra hoy nija ishta deva spurti. A time should, when we truly love Krishna, in truth, tattvataha, evam yoveti tattvataha. And what is tattvataha? Brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdati. Andantarastha paramanu chayantarastha. He is there in every atomic particle. It is the source of everything. So similarly, of course, practically what does that mean? To see Krishna everywhere. That doesn't mean I end up offering worship to the microphone. This is the Mayavadi conception. You know, everything is God. You are God, I am God. One fellow took the Aarti plate. I don't want to name the person because this recording may go somewhere. I don't. This person, there's a devotee. The devotee's father. He has this whole Aarti plate in the morning. He goes, keeps it on the table, and he opens a curtain. This curtain is, which is covering a mirror. So he opens the curtain, and then he offers, Sukha sampati ghar aave kashta bete tanaka. So his belief is, I am he is me. So, not that kind of seeing. The one who knows Krishna in truth understands everything is the energy of the Lord. And therefore, seeing Krishna everywhere means everything is coming from the Lord, everything is eternally connected with the Lord, nothing can be separated from the Lord, and therefore everything has to be utilized for the pleasure and satisfaction of the Lord in the mood of serving Him. That's it. It's so practical. Manasa, vacha, karmana, with my body, with my mind, with my words, with my manasa, deho, geho, joki, chumor, arpilu, tuva, pade, nanda, kishore. It is so simple actually. That's why Krishna says, Susukham kartum avyayam. It is the most simplest thing. But unfortunately in Kali Yuga, something very simple, people start doubting. So simple. You have to really struggle, then, understand the value. Something too cheap, people sometimes doubt its potency and its efficacy. So, anyway, and then that's the second one. The third verse speaks about the Prayojana Gyan, and the fourth verse speaks about the Abhideya. Abhideya means basically Vedas contain three knowledge: Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. Sambandha means connectivity, our relation with the Lord. Abhideya means how to re-establish that relationship. And Prayojana, the goal, means to love unconditionally and uninterrupted way. Why is the Prayojan given first after Sambandha and the Abhideya, the process, is given later? Very simple. If you see a good salesman, if any of you are planning to do some sales in the future of any product, here is some tip. from Krishna given to Lord Brahma. First, tell the person how this relates to you. Now, I want to sell this glass. If you're not at all interested, why will you even think of purchasing the glass? The whole purpose of advertising is to convince you that this will help you. It's for you. It's for you. Really? Actually, there may be no connection, but to convince you that this is for you. We have created this only for, really, there is sambandha. Next, how it will benefit you. Without this, your life is useless. You don't have this, poor you. To convince us that life is very void without this. So that is because until and unless you are convinced, where is the question of paying? Then a person, therefore a good salesman never tells the price first. Never. Till the person is desperate. Tell the price, Papa. Don't worry, just listen. What are the other facilities it offers? What are the other, okay, but what is the price? Just listen. Till the person is desperate. Any price. No. Market price is so much. For you, I'm giving you a little bit of a kind of a concession. So, in the fourth verse, he talks about the abhidheya. In every place, in every situation, under all circumstances, one should look for this. Sarvatra, sarvada. One should look for it everywhere. So, this is like the essence. In 4 words, actually, he said. Pati, Gati, Mati, and Rati. Just within these 4 words. It's amazing. Condensing the whole essence of Vedas in just kind of 4 words. Now, how that relates to today's topic. The art of living is, as so beautifully pointed out in the Gita and also in the Bhagavad and also in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Antare nishtha karo, bahye loka vyavahar, achirat Krishna tumay karibe uddhar. Lord Chaitanya told Sanatana Goswami, Markata vairagya na karo loka dikhaya. Don't artificially, externally show yourself as a renunciate, like a monkey renunciate. The monkey also doesn't wear any clothes, sitting under different trees every day. But deep inside it is thinking about the she monkeys. So, Markata vairagya na karo loka dikhaya, yatha yogya vishay bhunja. Actually, you should satisfy your senses. Now, what is the difference between, because we have heard over bombardment of sense gratification. But the senses are meant to be gratified. Huh? Senses are meant to be gratified, but no sense gratification. What does it mean? Senses are meant to be satisfied, but not gratified. Unduly, unnecessarily, unfavorably. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions how the senses or how the objects of the senses has to be accepted. 3 things he says. Number 1, is it necessary? Number 2, is it favorable? Number 3, if it is necessary and favorable, accept it as his mercy. And then that sense gratification can never be unnecessary or unfavorable. So, antare nishtha karo. One should, in ISKCON, we have one problem. And that is, our goal is too high. Ashli seva padartam pinashtumam. Directly we go to the 8th verse of Shikshashtakam prayers, which is where Gita ends, Bhagavatam begins. Sarvadharman Parityajya, and Bhagavatam begins with Dharma Projita Kaitavotra. Where Bhagavatam ends, Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam Pranamo Dukkha Shamanastam Namamya. Where Bhagavatam ends, CC begins with Sankirtan. And that is Lord Chaitanya's philosophy. And where Lord Chaitanya's Charitamrit ends, that is Shikshashtakam prayer. And Shikshashtakam prayer ends with Ashli Shiva. And we are struggling with, I am not the body, I am the soul. Is it really? Only when I am hearing philosophy, I am the soul, not the body. After I get down the Vyasasana, I am the body. Let the soul be rest. Let the soul rest in peace. So the problem is we are speaking something and we are living something. And therefore, many people, there are types of people. Some feel so guilty that gradually they say, this path is wonderful, but it is not meant for me. And they gradually kind of, what to speak of if they are constantly reminded, this is the high, ask. It is to be worshipped on my head, but not to be practiced in my heart. Impossible. They actually go away. Or other, learn the art of, in Hindi there is a saying, dikhane wale daant or chabane wale daant. The teeth that is shown, just like the elephant has a teeth, that is for the show. And the eating teeth is different. So there is a kind of they feel hypocritical. Or they know in a society we have to act like this, but actually our life is like this. Why? Because everyone does that. So how do we navigate through where we are and to where our goal is? If that is not in a mature, balanced, and timely fashion explained to us, either we feel guilty for the rest of our life and leave the process, discouraged, or we become a first-class hypocrite, thinking this is how you have to live in the society. Practicality means you show this, but you actually are this. But that is kapatata. That is as Gaurang Prabhu always says, Mahaprabhu is patit pavan, not kapat pavan. He is deliverer of the fallen, not of a hypocrite. He didn't like. Mahaprabhu was very clear about not accepting that. So therefore, how do you understand this? His Holiness Bhakti Vigyan Goswami Maharaj one time made an amazing statement, or how he explained it in a very nice way. He said, this nine storied building, like Adav Shraddha, Tada Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Bhava, Prem. It's like a 9-floor building. He said, if you are on the platform of, say, Shraddha, then your goal should be, if you're on the ground floor, make your goal the second floor and use the first floor as the means to the end. So if it is Adav Shraddha, if you are at that level, faith, then make Bhajana Kriya your goal and Sadhu Sangha your means. And once you come to Sadhu Sangha, you are regularly in a very stable fashion. If you have developed a deep attachment, it's like a pyramid. The higher you go, the lower the base increases. If a person is regularly associating with devotees, you know for sure that he has developed Shraddha. He has faith in the power of the practicality of scriptures in the association of devotees. Because scriptures are only books. I mean, nothing to minimize that. But simply reading a cookbook, your hunger is not gone. You need to actually go to the kitchen, put the ingredients and cook it, and you have to eat it. Similarly, scriptures are giving all of that. Even deity. But when we associate with sincere devotees whose heart is filled with faith, like-minded people with same goal, automatically the scriptural conclusions gradually start becoming more realistic. Then we are convinced about the process of bhajana kriya. We are convinced that yes, we need to accept the process. And once we are in the association, anartha nivritti should be the goal and bhajana should be the means. That I should remove all the unwanted things so that my goal is ananya. Now it is anya, anya bhilashita. There are so many, jnana and karma, so many things. But I want to remove all that unwanted things. Just like a ground is made fertile, first remove all the unwanted things from there. Then the seed will grow and the plant of bhakti will manifest. So when we do that under the guidance, therefore Prabhupada writes, expert guidance is required in the beginning stage of bhakti. Of course, a devotee never thinks himself advanced. So he always feels himself dependent in the association of sincere, pure-hearted, faithful devotees. So internally, one should aspire, one's aspiration, longing, craving for achieving that state should grow. But externally, one has to be, as Prabhupada writes, pound, shilling, and pence man. Very, very down to earth, very practical, very smart in terms of dealing with the world. Mam anusmara yudhyacha. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu. It's 100% every day, throughout 24 hours a day. Internally, mam anusmara. Externally, fight. Because you're a warrior, you're on a battlefield. Don't talk about, no, I don't feel like they're my own people. Nonsense. Give up this impotence. This so-called renunciation, Krishna calls as impotence. Klaibyam asmagamah partha. This is impotence. What is the nonsense? A warrior on a battlefield saying that, oh, you have to fight. But fight for me. That's it. The only changing thing, true spirituality is not a change of externals, but a change of consciousness, a change of goal, a change of priorities, and lifestyle suitable to that achievement of the goal. As simple as that, actually. Yes, externally, if it is favorable, anukulyasya sankalpo, pratikulyasya varjanam. Anything favorable, we adopt. Anything unfavorable, we gradually kind of try to give up. So that's the art of living. In the world, but not of the world. Being in the world externally, not of the world internally. Understanding the futility of taking shelter of these for our satisfaction, pleasure, and happiness. No. But they can be used as a medium, as a stepping stone to move towards my goal. That is a perfect process. And that's exactly what Krishna is. Duryodhana is sitting on the chariot shooting arrows, killing people. Arjuna is sitting on the chariot shooting arrows, killing people. Externally, both are doing the self-same thing. But what makes Duryodhana a villainous character and what makes Arjuna a very, very role model is one was doing it motivated by greed, envy, anger, and the other had actually no interest. He said, I would rather beg and live than fight. Let them rule. Yes, they may not be so very, but he's a good ruler. He's an efficient ruler. Let him rule. But Krishna wanted to prove to the whole world, no, I want my men here. This is my property and should be run my way. He was ready. Sometimes people blame Krishna. Was it really necessary, this war? Krishna wants to show the whole world how much he prioritized his men to rule the whole place. He was ready to remove anyone and everyone who came in between. It's that important. So the only thing difference is the consciousness and the motivation. That's the only thing. And at the end of the battle, Arjun continued to fight with full rigor, with full force. But only thing is, now his focus was different. Nashto moha smritir labdha tot prasadat mayachyuta sitosmi gata sandeha karishye vachanantam. Faith, bhakti goes on. Bhakti is like a vehicle. Shraddha is like the accelerator. And samshaya or doubt is like the brake. Unless you remove your feet from the brake, the vehicle will not go forward. Unless you press the accelerator, it won't go. Sometimes people press both. You drive a vehicle, Prabhu? You have ever driven a car? Yeah? I'm asking you. Yeah. Yeah. I don't drive, therefore I'm asking. What if you press both? What exactly happens? Noise will come, petrol will get exhausted. Life will go away, time will go away, but you will remain where you are. So we need to let go of the brake, which is stopping us, doubt. Does really Krishna exist? Am I really the soul? Does this process really work? I mean, it's nice. I get nice association, but does it really work? Different levels of samshaya. And Karishye Vachanantam, he went back. So that's the art of living. Internally aspiring and making life and our lifestyle favorable to achieve the goal after having established it very clearly. This is my goal and this is what my life is only meant for. However, externally being very, I call it the three formula. Activity, absorption, and alert. Triple A formula, I call it. The materialistically intelligent people are also extremely active, much more active than many of the devotees. I know a doctor, 17 hours he stands and performs surgery. Can we stand 17 hours, do deity worship, and then go next day also? They work harder than any of the devotees I have ever seen. They're really austere. Hiranyakashipu, the kind of austerity Hiranyakashipu performed, Prahlad never performed. Those devotees smart. They work smart. They're extremely austere. They are active because they are convinced that they can become happy. Their conviction in their ignorance is much more than our conviction in the knowledge. You know? So, activity, extremely. And their mind is absorbed, fully absorbed. Sometimes I know one person during Janmashtami, I went to a printer to get the magazine done and I had to get it by the night. So I sat with him from morning. Early morning, I left my chanting. Anyway, I said, let me chant while in the printer's place. And that fellow was with me whole day. And around 8 p.m., one of the paper fell off and slipped and went like that. And there was a dabba, and under that box it went. So he lifted the box. That was his lunch box. And then he realized, I'm not eaten at all. He was with me throughout the day. He didn't drink a drop of water. He didn't eat food. His wife had sent, it was there. He also didn't realize. And for him, it was just another working day. For me, it was Janmashtami, so no problem. Anyway, I have to fast. And I was thinking, okay. But for him, it was just another working day. And then I realized, I wish I took the dust from the feet of him without his knowledge. I said, may I develop that conviction like you, absorption, that this will fetch me so much extra money and I'll become happy. I wish we could have that kind of a conviction to forego everything to that absorption. And so mentally absorbed, physically active, and intellectually alert. They are alert. In every situation, they are alert to their goal. Similarly, a devotee should be physically active to move towards the goal, mentally absorbed, and intellectually be alert to achieve the goal, and not allow even a moment. Ayusha kshana ekopi nalabhya swarna koti bhi. It can't be purchased. Human life, even a moment, can't be purchased with millions of gold coins. It's so valuable. So that's the art of living. Internally cultivating, internally aspiring, while externally very expertly. Kavi, one of the quality of a devotee is daksha. Daksha means expert. Expert means to do the same thing done by others in a lesser time. It's kind of multitasking if need be, except chanting. Other things can be multitask, but knowing how to balance everything. It's not easy. Absolutely, it's not easy, because we have one more thing, we have to chant our rounds, we have to follow, we have to be visible everywhere. And simultaneously, we have a family, we have an occupation, we have a social responsibilities. They're two different big roles. And simultaneously, we are supposed to be expert in both. Because Krishna wants us to be expert in both. One time, one devotee asked His Holiness Radha Swami Maharaj this question. He was a businessman, very top businessman. He said, Maharaj, you are saying that we should become first-class businessmen for Krishna. And you're also telling we should become first-class devotee. First-class businessmen give a lot of time for their business. They may give 18 hours for their business. If you do that, you want us to be first-class devotee. Be visible in all the programs, including Sunday feast. Do all the sevas. Chant all our rounds. And simultaneously be a first-class businessman. How is it possible? And I was thinking, yeah, exactly. I was thinking, let us see how Maharaj is going to deal with it. Because Maharaj had emphasized in that class, you must be first class. So Maharaj smiled and looked at him. And I was thinking, what is he going to say? He said, yes, we should be first-class businessmen and we should be first-class devotee. But we should be first-class businessmen for Krishna, not in the eyes of the world. He gave the example. Ekalavya and Karna were first-class archers. But Arjuna was also an archer. But he was an archer first class in the eyes of Krishna because he utilized his archery in Krishna's service. I said, wow, that's a good one. So it's not about not being about first class in the eyes of the world, because the world judges their dynamics and their system of calculation is different. While Krishna's calculation is whatever skills, whatever we have, are we using it in developing our connection with Krishna and in being an instrument of his compassion for the world? If that is done, then in the eyes of Krishna, we are much first-class businessman than probably somebody who may be earning millions of dollars. So then comes the art of loving. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, very beautifully, one time as he was going for South Indian tour, he suddenly expressed, okay, my dear, he held the hands of all the devotees. And he said, look, you people are my life and soul. I can't live without you. I can give up my life, but not give up your association. But I have to search for my brother Vishwarup. So I am going to South India for a tour, and I want to go alone. So Nityananda Prabhu said, no. How can you go like that? I'll come with you. I have traveled all over. For 20 years, I was traveling every place. I'll come with you. And anyway, you need some help, somebody to carry your danda, because you always keep chanting on your fingers. Prabhupada writes, so see, he was chanting with fixed number. You should also chant. So he would chant with one and keep a count with the other hand. See, how can you do that? So therefore, we'll come with you. And then Lord Chaitanya, Nityananda, Jagadananda, Mukunda, and Damodar. These are the 4 people who had come along with him from Navadvip till Jagannath Puri. He speaks. He says, Nityananda, I am so grateful to all of you. You have acted like true well-wishing friends. You have brought me at the feet of Lord Jagannath. I am eternally indebted to you. However, Nityananda, I wanted to go to Vrindavan and you brought me to Advaita's place. I took sannyas and you broke my danda. He said, you cannot come with me. Jagadanand Pandit, when I do my rules and regulations and I follow rules, he becomes so angry. He wants to give me all sense enjoyment. He wants to give me perfumed oil. I'm a sannyasi. He wants to give me big cushion to sleep. I'm a sannyasi. I take 3 times bath and I sleep on the floor. He said, and he becomes so angry, he doesn't eat for 3 days. Just to please him, I have to break all the rules. And Mukunda, he doesn't say anything, but he becomes morose. He becomes so unhappy looking at me doing all these austerities. And I hate to see them unhappy. I become unhappy if I see them unhappy. And Damodar Pandit, he's a brahmachari, I'm a sannyasi, but he disciplines me with a stick. He thinks I'm a neophyte in all my social dealings. And therefore, if you people come, I can't follow all my rules and regulations in my yatra. So you cannot. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes, in the name of finding faults, Lord Chaitanya was glorifying their love for him. They loved him so much, they cared 2 hoots for the rules and regulations. Rules and regulations are meant for those who have no love, so that they can develop love. Just like medicines are meant for those who are sick. After you become healthy, there's no need for medicine. Of course, that doesn't give us a license to think, actually now I'm developing some love. I think I can chant a little less number of rounds. No, if you really love, 16 is just a beginning. It's like a warm-up. Afterwards starts the real round. So we can't actually artificially ever think. No devotee. Haridas Thakur, he was telling at the end of his life that my body is all right, but my mind is not. I'm not able to finish my rounds. This is my disease. Namacharya Haridas Thakur is telling at the end of his life that if he's not able to finish his rounds, actually rules, regulations for a lover of God, like once Radha Swami Maharaj made a very nice statement. He said, attention to detail is a sign of love. When you love, every detail you will do it to the, to the T. But that's not done as a tick off the box. They are done naturally. When there is love, you want to do every ritual to the best of your ability. It's but natural. But if that rules and regulations come in way of service to Krishna, to hell with rules and regulations. As long as it is favorable, I'll follow all rules. But if it stops me from the service of Krishna, to hell with the rules. So at one time when the rules become barrier to the service of the Lord, loving service of the Lord, then it is a barrier. Then it is to be given up. Not every time. The gopis only once went to Krishna when he played of the flute. It's not that every day they were going. But that showed, if Krishna wants, to hell with everything else. For a higher principle, a lower principle can be compromised. That is elevation. But for a lower principle, if a higher principle is given up, that is degradation. So here Lord Chaitanya is showing these people are so much loving me that if anything, because to love means to, as I said, serve with a desire to please the Lord. And therefore, they followed all the rules, but when it came in their barrier to the service to please Lord Chaitanya, they were not considering. And as regards leaving, what can be a better example than Haridas Thakur's departure in Chaitanya Charitamrita? One devotee very nicely said, Bhagavad Gita are the words of Krishna. Bhagavatam are the activities of Krishna. But Chaitanya Charitamrita is the heart, the mind of Krishna. What's in his mind? Anyara Hridaya Mana Mora Mana Vrindavan. The Lord Chaitanya came along with his... Beautifully, Prabhupada explains in the introduction to Chaitanya Charitamrita. He said, Chaitanya means living force. Charita means character. And Amrita means eternality. Character of the living force in eternality, eternal life. That means when a person becomes a liberated soul or in the spiritual world, what do the Lord and his devotees do? If you want to know, read Chaitanya Charitamrita. And there is this beautiful interaction shown of the departure of Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur didn't want to see the last pastime of departure of Lord Chaitanya. And therefore he asked, he told, my Lord, he said, I know you're going to be winding up your pastime. I don't want to see that. Before that, he said, of course, I have no qualification, but I want to give up my body with my mouth chanting your name, with my eyes beholding your form, and with your lotus feet on my heart. Can you imagine? 3 demands. Demanding. Okay. And at the same time, he's telling, I know I have no qualification. Hoping against hope, as Rupa Goswami says. A devotee considers himself useless, but his desire is so strong. Karna padega, better, Krishna, better do this. Contradiction, Love sometimes all the contradictions are resolved in pure love. So Lord Chaitanya says he goes for his noon duty, and next day he comes along with his associates. Can you imagine? The best dancer, Vakreshwar Pandit, is dancing. The best singer, Swarup Damodar, is singing. And all the powerful Ramanand Rai, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, all the greatest exalted devotees, they are all surrounding him. Lord Chaitanya brings them. Personally, he's standing and he starts beginning the kirtan. And the kirtan is going on. Haridas Thakur is watching all of them. And then he takes the dust from the feet of all these exalted devotees and makes Lord Chaitanya sit on a high seat, takes his lotus feet and puts it on his chest. Lord Chaitanya allows that. And his eyes, like a bumblebee, is completely fixed like on the lotus face of Lord Chaitanya. And his mouth is chanting, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. And in this way, he actually departs from the world. And everyone there remembers the passing away of Bhishma Dev. Wow, what a departure. Krishna was there, he was looking at him, he was remembering him, he was glorifying him, and all the devotees, the Pandavas surrounding him. And he had Ichha Mrityu, he could die anytime. But he waited for several days, and then Krishna fulfilled his reciprocated, and then he departed. So in this way, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we find the complete art of living, loving, and even leaving. Every part and everything before and after, and everything in between. All of it in its perfect form is there in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. So, yeah, we should, and we are so fortunate. Lord Chaitanya has made this process so simple. Kali Kale Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar. Nama Hoite Hoye Sarva Jagat Anistar. The same Lord with all his power, Nam Nam Akari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shakti, has descended in the form of his holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Krishna has, like the Lord, when he descends in this world, he has 4 hands. Shankha, Chakra, Gada and Padma. The Chakra and the Gada is for Vinashaya Dushkrita. Shishupal with his Chakra, and Rukmi and all, one hit with his Gada and Haribol. And Shankha and Padma are meant for Paritranaya Sadhuna. He touched his conch shell to the cupola of Dhruva, and Dhruva started Yontah Pravishamamavachamimam Prasuptam Sanjeevayadyakhila Shaktidhara Swadhamnam. As soon as he touched, it was like I used to, and in my college days, we used to see one serial, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. I don't know if any of them have seen that. So this is a very weak person, and suddenly he gets a sword, and by the power of Grey Skull, and suddenly, like 4,200 volts charge up. And then the whole thing starts. Signature music. He-Man. And the Masters of the Universe. So it's like that, just by coming in contact with the holy name. Kali Kale Nama Rupe. So by the touch of the conch shell, suddenly Dhruva couldn't speak a word, but he had so much of things to speak in his heart, started speaking such profound prayers. His art was pouring out. But in Kali Yuga, they say the demons and the demigods both are residing in the same person. Dvo bhuta sargau lokesme. There are 2 types of qualities. There's the bad dog and the good dog, as Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj says. So Krishna in this age comes in the form of his holy name. Nija Sarva Shakti. That name has the power to remove all the anarthas, lust, anger, greed, envy, pride, illusion. And the same name also, Sheya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. It's our heart is like a bud of flower, which is covered with the sepals. But when there is a moon that shines, it just blossoms and blooms fully. Similarly, the heart opens up in the shade or the lotus beams of holy name. So we are so fortunate that Krishna has descended the Nam in the Nam form, and Lord Chaitanya as the Yuga avatar has come to present that name. So if we can actually understand its potency and take shelter, then we can perfect the art of living, loving, and leaving. Guaranteed. Asamshaya, there is no doubt about it. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna. So, Hitesh Prabhu has invited us. This is like an inauguration of his house. And directly as I came, Mataji took me to the deity room and showed me the deities. I was reminded, Udupi Pejaur Swami had come to one home for inauguration of the house and the deities. And he made a very interesting statement. He said, the home is generally called Bhavan. You know, so-and-so Bhavan, Anand Bhavan. He said, why it is called Bhavan? Bha means Bhagavan, the Lord. If you remove Bha, it becomes only one. One means forest. And in the forest, who lives? Not me. It's simply animalistic living. But when the Lord comes into the house, it becomes Bhavan. Krishna is the center of the household. Jedina grihe bhajana dekhi grihe te golok bhai. Thakur said, when I come home and I see everyone engaged in the service of the glorification of the Lord, I experience Golok Vrindavan. So that's our aspiration. We're very happy to be a part of this wonderful event. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Prabhuji, for coming and blessing us with your nectarian lecture and, blessing our house as well. I invite everyone for prasadam. And yeah, sure.
Thank you so much, Radha Prabhu and Hansipriya Mataji, for this is our new house. As most of you know, the only purpose of having this house was to host more and more Vaishnavas. I hope we can get that opportunity. What better by inaugurating by both of you, Damodar Prabhu and Radha Gopinath Prabhu. Thank you so much. The topic was amazing and the purpose was fulfilled. Thank you for purifying our house. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Please come take prasadam. Prasadam is served outside. Thank you.